Hello, everyone. I believe I am live right now. My name is Madison Miller, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at the Business Software Center. Today, I'm bringing you 5 SAM tips for 2020. SAM stands for Software Asset Management. So if you signed up for today's coffee talk, that is what we'll be discussing today. Keep in mind our coffee talks are about 10 minutes long. And if you need to talk to me throughout the process, the questions and answers section is open. You also can talk to us using the hashtag you see on the screen here, Coffee Talk TBSC, on our social media channels, whether that's LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube. Feel free to use that and get in touch with me. Finally, you can see my email here, info@businesssoftwarecenter.com. Use that if you ever need to get in touch, if you'd like a copy of this, etc. And finally, if you need to come in and out of this session, that's not a problem. We do post these on our YouTube channel, so you can just follow us on YouTube to follow up with any of our previous coffee talks. So this coffee talk is going to be our 5 software asset management tips for 2020. This is just a reminder, our questions and answers section is open for you. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. 2020 saw some changes, and I'm sure we all felt it. We felt the big ripple effect, especially March 2020 was the peak of the change, especially in remote work, just because of the virus situation. So 2020, we definitely saw a rise of remote work, especially because of isolation and quarantine. But because of that, there was an increase of remote staff. And this was seen in every industry. It didn't really matter what industry you were in. If there was a way that you could work from home, governments and the public encouraged it. So we saw different sectors certainly have rise in remote staff. And we also saw a really large increase of remote learning as well. So this involved schools and universities. Just hold on one second, I need to get a drink. So as you can see here, I do have a graph that says what percentage of your work time do you spend working remotely? You can see here this was a report done in 2020, and it's about 57% of the people who were interviewed are 100% working remotely. And we can see that this is definitely going on still. The UK has recently gone into a lockdown. I believe Scotland's in a lockdown. There's parts of America in lockdown. It's a global situation that we're dealing with. And so because of that, we're all affected in different ways. And right now we definitely see that remote working is here to stay. So I'd like to say Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. And with that, remote work is increasing. And the pandemic brought the surge, but you know what? It's here to stay, as I mentioned. And I found this really interesting statistic. 58.25% of companies plan to combine remote and in-office work in the future. So not only is this beneficial, to avoid any sort of passing of the virus, but we noticed in our research there's a lot of other benefits that come to a fusion or a hybrid of working at home and working in the office space. So this combined effort, helps the environment, especially when it comes to greenhouse gases. It can help improve mental health, reduce stress, etc. So remote working, especially when it comes to this combination, is something that is projected to be here to stay for sure, especially throughout 2021. Now, what are the problems with remote work? I noticed that in some of my research that I was doing, some were concerned about perhaps the productivity of remote staff. But each business is different, each staff is different, and you have to analyze where you have been affected. So different ways you can analyze exactly where you're at are with SAM tools. So here at TBSC, we offer different SAM tools for you. One of them is the Smarter SaaS tool, which can track and monitor your Microsoft 365 usage and tell you, benchmark where you're at with your usage and give you different ways of how to optimize your Microsoft 365 and provide training to your staff, etc. So as you can see here, how productive is remote work? It really depends, like I said, on your business. But you can see here, work hours during COVID-19, 55.2% said more hours than normal. And that's actually quite interesting. I did notice in my research that people tend to have they blend their work and life a lot more whenever they're working from home. So perhaps that's why that's going on. And so, with the SAM tool, you can track and see how often your employees are using their applications, and you can certainly help implement strategies to help reduce their stress by monitoring what they're doing and then going in and letting them know, hey, say for instance, with Microsoft Teams, you can track and monitor if they're using their Teams. If they're not using it, encourage them to use it, because with Teams, if they learn how to use it, they can utilize all the scheduling features, and Teams is also introducing Headspace into their application, which helps provide meditation support, time management, etc. So, I mean, really learn how to monitor your Microsoft Teams usage, because by doing that, it can only improve your productivity and your optimization. So I would like to say, as far as being a remote worker and doing everything online, especially in this climate, my first tip for your software asset management is to switch to the cloud if you haven't already. I know you can probably laugh at this tip, but you'd be surprised at how many people have not switched their businesses over, and they're still using everything that's just downloaded onto their computer. So I would say tip number one, if you haven't already, if you don't even know what SaaS is, you really need to get started. SaaS is software as a service. So that essentially means, hey, it makes it a lot easier for remote working. It's billed monthly rather than on a yearly or contract basis. And because it's a monthly subscription, you can flex your subscribers up or down, which gives you like the flexibility that you need. You can access your applications online or offline. So an example of that, once again, would be through Teams. Say you upload a document on Teams, a Word document, and you make adjustments to it while you're offline. The minute you're online, all that stuff gets automatically updated for you, so you don't have to worry about that. SaaS or switching to the cloud definitely improves collaboration, and then it does provide automatic updates to your software, and it's great for scalability. So I would say my number one tip is a no-brainer, but definitely switch to the cloud if you haven't already. If you need help switching to the cloud, please feel free to reach out. We have cloud migration tools here at TBSC that can certainly help get you started with that. My second tip is to create a powerful SAM team. And what I mean by SAM is software asset management. Now, whenever you create a powerful SAM team, it effectively manages your software. It reduces your risk. So, for instance, it helps track and monitor your software, so you're not, increasing your risks for any auditing disasters. It also helps monitor your spending, optimize your license usage. And what's really nice about having a solid SAM team with your business is that the SAM team can create goals and strategies that are company-wide. So that means that they talk to your marketing department, they talk to your IT department, they talk to all these departments, sales even, to ensure that everyone is following these guidelines to make sure the licenses are being appropriately used and optimized. So if you haven't already, I would say consider maybe offering these positions with your business, SAM analyst, software asset manager, SAM consultant, SAM specialist, or director of SAM. Say for instance, you don't really have the ability to get a SAM team. I would say the next piece of advice would be to get a powerful SAM tool. And so what I mean by a SAM tool is get something that tracks and monitors your software asset management for you. And that is where we come in with the Business Software Center with our Smarter SaaS product specifically for Microsoft 365. I'll definitely get into more about that later on. Let's just get into tip 3. I would say stay in touch with change. So my top 3 tips so far in 2020 is to get on the cloud, get a SAM, have a powerful SAM team. Tip number 3, stay in touch with change. So specifically with technology, you know, that stuff is always changing. It's a very rapidly changing place. And so I would say you just kind of need to monitor what's going on in the world. If you have a SAM team, you can allocate this task to them. What's really nice with the cloud is it does the automatic updates for you, so you don't have to constantly be running those updates on your computers or desktops. And you just follow the data, follow the trends. So for instance, using our SAM tool, Smarter SaaS, you can find what's used, what's not being used, and then you follow the data accordingly to adjust what you need to do in order to change your business for the better and optimize. I did find some tips here from Gartner that suggests a strategy for IT optimization. So you can strategize, evaluate through investigation, you can execute a plan and act it out. You can optimize your costs, and then you obviously manage it at the way end. And so what's really nice is you don't even have to do any of this. Here at TBSC, we can do all of this for you with our Smarter SaaS tool. So if you're feeling at all overwhelmed, we do offer a 30-day free trial to get and see exactly where you're at with your license usage, your software usage, and we can get you ready to go here in 2021. So tip number 4 is have the right BPA tools. And what I mean by BPA is business practice automation. So different ways to different questions you can ask yourself to see whether or not you need to automate a business practice are these listed here. For instance, are there high volume tasks? How many employees does it take to perform a task? So for instance, when it comes to, let's see, monitoring your software usage and you're doing it manually, perhaps it takes 2 employees to see whether you're compliant or not, and maybe they have to work overtime just to make sure this gets done every month. Rather than having these 2 employees giving all their time to doing this manual task, you can automate it by using Smarter SaaS, and that way it takes away all the manual effort, it automates tasks, and it gives you all the correct results. So it really is a nice tool to consider. But yes, automating your business practices is my tip number 4 for sure. There's other questions here you can see. Are you in need of remaining software compliant? Can this be done more efficiently through automation? I would say that last question is really important, especially in the software world. You know, the software world is growing and changing. On AppSource with Microsoft, you can create all the software on there. So we're certainly here to help you get your software under control. And so my tip number 5 for 2020 would be communicate, communicate, communicate. So ask questions, get feedback, track your team's usage, and use the right communications tools. Now, here at TBSC, we use Microsoft Teams, and right now I am streaming this using Microsoft Teams live events. We will always 100% back up Microsoft Teams as our way of communicating, but there's different ways out there that you can get this done. You know, there's Zoom, there's Google, but I would say a big part of remote working, being in the software, ask questions, get feedback, see where your staff is at, ask them, you know, hey, is there any way we can automate certain tasks for you? Just get in there and ask these questions and see what your team might come up with, because odds are there's software out there that can help you automate your business practices. So that can definitely make a really nice 2021 for you. So these were my 5 top tips. I am going to stop really quickly and see if we have any questions coming in. So let me go ahead and just read here. It says, do you recommend using a SAM tool with a SAM team? Okay, I think that's a really decent question. Like I mentioned, I gave you the example earlier of, you know, using the SAM team to do compliance reviews. Say you have 2 people working on compliance. Well, if you have the SAM tool, you can do the compliance automatically through the business practice automation, but then your 2 SAM team members can do something else more valuable with their time. So I would say you can definitely combine the 2 if you are interested in doing that. I think it would be 100% more effective if you have both going at the same time. But then again, you can also have like a SAM consultant, which is where if you don't have a SAM team, we can be there for you 100% because we offer the SAM tool, and then we can help you manage and come up with strategies to improve your software optimization. So I have another question here. It says, do you feel it is more important than ever to move to the cloud? Well, I would say yes, for sure, just because that's the way things are headed. I mean, with the cloud, it's not just your computer. You can access things on your iPad, on your cell phone. And I think because it allows you to be able to access in all these different ways, it gives you this ability to stay connected kind of all the time. So if you're running, late to a meeting, you can join while you're on the train. I think the possibilities are endless with the cloud, and the cloud is projected to just keep growing and growing and growing. And as I mentioned earlier, software is constantly changing, and because Microsoft gives you the ability to build your own software using app stores, it's just going to keep growing, and different kinds of software as a services are going to keep growing because of that. So let me just go ahead and go back to my presentation really quickly. Thank you so much for those questions. So those are my 5 tips for 2021. I do just want to give you a heads up. We are coming to a close with our coffee talk. Sorry, I'm talking a bit fast right now just to make sure I get it all in. But our next coffee talk is going to be 3 tips on improving your remote work-life balance. I did touch on that a little bit in this presentation, but of course, 10 minutes doesn't give me a lot of time, so please feel free to sign up. All of our coffee talks are free. You can sign up through Eventbrite or LinkedIn. And now, I did mention before about our free trial. Our free trial is available on our website. You can also find us on Marketplace or AppSource, and you can download our Smarter Staff for 365 absolutely for free through Microsoft. So please check it out. If you have any questions for me, use the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC. Just want to thank you so much for joining me today, and please take care, and I'll see you next week. Alrighty, bye-bye.